Today we're talking about spring-loaded camming devices, or cams. They're one of the most common pieces of climbing equipment in traditional climbing today. The first cam started showing up in the 1970s and pretty much revolutionized how we can protect parallel and flared cracks. So we're going to talk a little bit about the design of cams. Cams either have 4 lobes, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this Black Diamond C4 Camelot, or 3 lobes, 1, 2, 3, like this Black Diamond C3 Camelot. So the cam lobes are the parts of the cam that come in contact with the rock here and here. And these lobes transfer the pressure or transfer the force from a downward fall outward. This transfer of load multiplies the force, creating immense outward pressure and a lot of friction, which is actually how the cam works. Other parts of the cam include the trigger right here, the trigger wires, which are these are the trigger wires, the axles, and these Black Diamond C4s are double axle cams, so they have 2 axles. The C3, you can see, has only 1 axle. So the lobes, and then the cam stem, which is this that runs all the way up and down the cam. And then we have a thumb loop and a sling. So like I said, cams work by transferring the downward pressure of a fall outward from the cam lobes to the wall of the crack. So it might be hard to visualize, but the cam holds you in a fall using friction, which is created between the crack wall and the cam lobes. So when we place a cam in a crack, we stick it into the crack and the spring expands, pushing the lobes out onto the sides of the crack, and it stays there using friction. So that same friction is just multiplied when we put weight onto the cam. So you can see this when you place a cam in a crack. It stays there after you release the trigger, and then if you pull on it, the cam lobes just push tighter and tighter against the walls. Let's talk a little bit about placing a cam. Cams should be placed between 50 and 90% of their range. So a cam's range, this is fully open or 0% closed. This is 100% closed. When we place a cam, we want to try to go from 90% to around 50% and no further than that. So beyond 50% allows the cam to be less stable and be prone to tipping out of a crack, and beyond 90%, in the 90 to 100 range here, it makes it very difficult to retrieve your cam out of the crack after you've placed it. So cams should be placed in parallel or flared cracks where all the lobes have good contact on the walls, because remember, the lobes need to have good contact to create friction against the wall. If there's no contact, then there's no friction being created. We'll also want to place our cams in good rock quality, because we know that the transfer of force from the downward pull to the outward on the cam lobes is going to multiply that force, and the rock needs to be very strong in order to hold the pressure that the cam is going to be applying outward. So the things we're looking for when we place a cam are 50 to 90% good rock quality in a parallel or flared crack, good contact of each of the lobes, and a stable cam position. The last thing I want to talk about is the strength of cams. In general, the larger cams are going to be stronger than the smaller ones. So for these Black Diamond C4s. These are almost all 14 kN, so the number 4, 3, 2, 1.75 are all 14 kN. And then when we get down to the 0.5 here, it drops to 12 kN. And then as we get even smaller, the 0.3 here is 8 kN. And then when we move into the Black Diamond C3, which is actually smaller than the 0.3, the strength actually jumps up to 10 kN. So this is a good example of how a different design of a cam can be stronger than another. So check out your manufacturer's information to see the strength of your cam and the appropriate range to place it in. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out our blog listed in the description.